You got Leon D here, and we're going to talk about food. I'm not an expert on anything to do with food, but I've been around a long time, and I am a professional barbecuologist. I know food. I know what I like. I know what I don't like. I know a lot of things that you may not like. That's the intro for Leon D. Let's get it on. Welcome to Showbiz Eats. We tell you at the very beginning that we're not experts at anything. We just tell you the way it is. And if you accept it, you do. If you don't, you don't. It's on you if you don't. But it's all going to be true. So tonight, people have asked me many times, what is your favorite barbecue restaurant throughout the country? Now, I've eaten in probably about 500 barbecue restaurants. But I'm going to run down some names for you that's got very good food. And then I'm going to tell you the place I like and the city I like. Now, the one thing about barbecue is only barbecue when you add the sauce. Anything before then is not barbecue. So let's get that very, very straight from the very beginning. Now, one thing that makes meat taste differently and make it taste better is all about the spices. Excess is best. I'd rather have something that got too much excess than not enough. Now, places I've been to that I really enjoyed were places in Starkville, Mississippi called Little Dewey. Chicago, you gotta go to Carson's. It's an upscale rib joint, and I don't think the price is worth what you're gonna get, but the food is not bad. In Memphis, Tennessee, I have multiple places I like. I like Interstate Barbecue, but I only like their spaghetti. They have barbecue spaghetti. Don't like the other barbecue. And then you got the Rendezvous. I love the Rendezvous. Not bad at all. In California, Santa Maria seems like everybody wants to mimic their recipe or their taste. And I don't like a lot of sauce, so I like the cowboy flavor. In San Fran, you got Delancey Street restaurants. Love that. Not bad at all. And then you go to Kentucky. You got Moonlight Barbecue. Now I'm gonna tell you something about Moonlight Barbecue. They specialize in mutton. Mutton is old ass sheep. I'm talking about old sheep, like your grandparents. I like your kids, your baby. I like soft, tender. That's what I want to eat. Nobody wants to eat some old ass person because it is what it is. And then you got places that's real, real famous for the chopped pork. There's a place in South Carolina called Sweatman's Barbecue. They are famous for their chopped pork. They do a lot of whole hogs there. And then you got Venice Beach, California. There's a place called Baby Blues Barbecue. Now, when I went there, I had beef ribs. Didn't try the regular ribs. Didn't really look that appetizing to me. But the beef ribs were not bad at all. And then you got Oceana Springs, Mississippi. They got a place called The Shed. What I like about The Shed is that they got barbecue, blues, and beer. That's always going to have my heart. You got blues and barbecue, you cannot go wrong. And then you got a place in Hawaii I went to called Helena's. Helena's Barbecue is not bad, and the Pitmaster is not bad. And then, Texas got so many places that you're going to enjoy that, I tend to get stuck on a place called the Salt Lick. It's out around Rock and it's near Austin. He got 4 or 5 restaurants, but it's open pit barbecue. It's not pellets, it's straight wood. So even though pellets are wood, don't get me wrong, pellets are wood. I just like the flavor they have because it's open fire. And then here go the state that think they're the best and claims to be the best is North Carolina. It's a city called Ayden, North Carolina. Ayden. If you get a chance, go to the Skylight Inn Barbecue. They only serve pulled pork. There is no other options for you, and they do it good. When you only serve one thing, when you only serve just one thing, and you're still in business after 50 years, you know you're good at it. Now, New Orleans got some good barbecue, but the place that I went to that stands out beyond the other 5 places I went to was called the Squeal. And then you got Alabama. Alabama got good barbecue, but the thing I don't like is that mayonnaise based what do you call it, sauce and stuff, that white sauce. Not a big fan of that. But they got a place called Smoking Jacks in Demopolis, Alabama, and he's a very, very good cook because he was on the barbecue circuit for years. And then you got one of my favorite cities of all time, Kansas City, Missouri. You know, you got Arthur Bryant's, and you know, he has a pretty good brisket. Arthur Bryant's very good on the brisket. And then also in Kansas City, you got Gates Barbecue. I like Gates as well. Arthur Bryant costs a little more. It's a little more upscale, but I don't mind eating barbecue with my hands. And then you go down to Georgia. Georgia, you know, they got the big cities. And how can I say it? Fat Mac's Rib Shack is probably the best in Atlanta. But if you go outside of Atlanta, down to Valdosta, Albany, or north of Atlanta, that's where the barbecue is. That's where you want to be at. You know, and then, you know, I went to Harlem. I went to 5 different places. And out of the 5 places I went to, Dinosaur Barbecue was the best. I mean, you know, it's one of the things that people say, I'm giving you the same food as you have down south. That's not true. No. You customize your food for the audience that you're trying to, or the clientele that you're trying to acquire. Okay? And then St. Louis, Pappy's Restaurant. I went there twice. Both times were a mistake. They cook a certain amount of food, they run out, it's gone for the day. Here's the problem I had with that. You run out of ribs, but you got plenty of sides. I didn't come here to buy just sides. And Pappy was kind of like that. And then I took a trip to Minneapolis years ago in the 80s and 90s, and they had a place, you know, that was the bedrock of this chain restaurant called Famous Dave. Well, let me tell you, Famous Dave won a lot of competitions. He would have never won any of mine. And Famous Dave is famous for his ribs. So now you know, when you go there, if you ain't ordering ribs, you taking a chance. And then probably just this city is just, now I'm gonna tell you, Kansas City got more barbecue restaurants than any city in the United States. They got more barbecue restaurants than any city in the United States. But if you go to Memphis, they claim they are the home of barbecue. Now, we know that's not true because barbecue migrated to Memphis from the South. I'm talking Georgia, Alabama, then North Carolina. And so you got a lot of chains in Memphis. I'm not big on chains, but I tried one of them out. And it was called Interstate Barbecue. And now, like I said earlier, I only want the spaghetti. Now, one place I like a whole lot, it's in Mobile, Alabama. Now, I know that Alabama got some good barbecue. Like I told you earlier, I don't like the white sauce. But I went to a place called The Pit. The Pit is not bad at all. You get a lot of food for your money. And The Pit is going to have what you want when you show up. So, you know, saying that in the first half of the show, California got decent barbecue. It ain't good. It ain't North Carolina. It ain't Tennessee. It ain't Georgia. It ain't, you know, it's not Texas, definitely. It definitely ain't Kansas City. So, but Texas has a place called the Hitching Post. People go there a lot because they saw it in that movie. They saw it in a movie, but the Hitching Post, wine and barbecue do not excite me at all. Barbecue go with liquor and beer. If you want good barbecue, have some beer or liquor with it. Wine is not the forte of it. It's another place in Kansas City that I just don't like. And I went there with a friend. It was called how you say it? Fior Ellis. They had 8 racks of meat, different kind of meats, dripping on one another. I don't want my chicken dripping on my ribs. I don't want my ribs dripping on my seafood. Now, talking about seafood, here's the thing you got to realize. Cooking seafood on a grill is not barbecuing. It's not barbecuing, okay? Seafood is not barbecuing. Seafood is grilling. Grilling and barbecuing is a different world. It makes me cough when I think about it. It makes me cough. Now, saying that, you can have some seafood that can be some very good barbecue. A lot of people think you put catfish on the grill, add some barbecue sauce or some Texas Pete, you're barbecuing. No, you're not. You're having catfish with a lot of sauce. Now, Texas got a place in Huntsville. It's weird, and when I went there with a friend, the whole setup was kind of strange. It was in a church. It was called New Zion Barbecue, but it was in a church. And the thing about it is that it was founded by a lady named Annie Mae Ward. She started that years ago, and they have continued that. And she started as a fundraiser to get the church refurbished. So her kids and friends and everybody else have continued the Annie Mae Ward, foundation or how she want to do the church to raise money. But the food is very, 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 very good. Very good. Now, one place I like a lot, it's called the Country Tavern Barbecue. The Country Tavern Barbecue is in South Shreveport, Louisiana. Yeah, you ain't going there, and neither am I. We know. But I went there because I made a side trip because I had heard about it, and during my barbecue experience, I wanted to try it out. It is worth the trip. It's worth the trip. So you get a chance, go there. And then one place up north that really baffled me was a place in Murfreesboro, Illinois. It was the 17th Street Bar and Grill. Now, the thing that's weird about that is that the guy who's the pit chef or pit master is named Mike Mills. Mike Mills and Amy Mills own this place. Now, saying that, Mike Mills was a world competitor. He has 2 restaurants. When you go there, there's a good chance you're going to see him or her no matter which restaurant you go to. But Mike Mills ain't bad at all. He can cook. He is almost an hour lead. He does a couple things we do differently, but his ribs is nothing to sneeze at. Now, I'm going to give a shout out to my homeboy in Philadelphia. He runs Rib. Runs Rib in Philadelphia. It's interesting that the lady who founded the restaurant passed it down to his brother who passed away. And Runs Rib makes some decent ribs. They're not my best, not my greatest. But if you're up north, you ain't got a lot of options. It's kind of like you got a bunch of bad options, but you got to pick one. Now, one place, I'm going to tell you about this guy, and he is probably the best pit master I've ever encountered in my life. His name is Ed Mitchell. Yeah, he's in Raleigh, North Carolina, and he's the pit master for a place called The Pit. He's the pit master. Ed Mitchell's been on a lot of shows, and he cares about what he's doing. He is top notch. He is as good as any pitmaster I've ever encountered. And the restaurants I mentioned tonight, I've had a chance to walk out and talk to the pitmasters or have a discussion with them about why they do things the way they do things. That's how we learn. But also, they learn from us as well. As Showbiz Eats, I can tell you, we're not the experts, but we have a lot of institutional knowledge to what we know. And when I go to people like Ed Mitchell and I go to Mike Mills, those are guys who are just good. You can look at these TV shows and you can look and say, hey, Myra Mixon, Big Mo. But are they there at their restaurants cooking every day? No, they are not. But Ed Mitchell is. And one thing that I told you long time ago, I'm going to say this again. If you have the name Shaq in your title, I'm going to stop at your restaurant. But even more importantly, the guys who are really great have their name on their restaurant. Because I'm not going to put my name on the restaurant unless I'm bringing it every single day. Now, when you talk about Kansas City, North Carolina, Tennessee, Texas barbecue, those by far are the 4 best in the world. It is what it is. We can agree to disagree, but it is what it is. What makes them different? Texas don't do chicken. They give you all the beef and sausage and pork, but they don't mess with a lot of chicken. The Carolinas, they mess with pork, beef, and ribs. Gotta love them. Kansas City, pork, beef, and ribs. And then you go to Tennessee, pork, beef, and ribs, and chicken. So the thing that made me pick a favorite city, and I've been to all of them. Matter of fact, during the COVID-19, I traveled to 2 or 3 of them. But what separates each one is that I don't like my food with sauce on it. Let the food stand for itself. And if the sauce is needed, it's probably because the meat is not right to your palate. I say it to your palate. But so when it comes to my favorite city, I have been to all parts of Texas, lived there, all parts of North Carolina, traveled through there, all parts of Tennessee, still love it, all parts of Missouri. I think the city with the most unique barbecue that I've ever had in my life is Memphis, Tennessee. Memphis just stands out. Memphis just got great food. Memphis, if you want barbecue or you want smoked food, go to Memphis. And if you got a chance, go to Memphis in May. I am a master judge for the KCBS. I'm not an expert on your palate. I'm an expert on my palate. So when you get a chance, go to Memphis in May. You got 125 teams in each category, and you can only enter 1 team. Now, I'm going to give Memphis a shout out, but if it came to whole hog, I'm going to Georgia. Georgia and South Carolina, they do whole hog, and North Carolina better than anybody. But if I want a certain cut, I am going to go to Tennessee. Now, I say that because Kansas City years ago was my number 1 choice. Years ago, Kansas City was my number 1 choice. They started going upscale. Nobody is going to pay $30 or $25 for a rack of 8 bones of ribs. No one's going to do that. No. 8 bones of ribs, which is not a full rack in case you didn't know. 8 bones of ribs, man, that shit costs you no more than about $15, $20. Because a full rack, because I cook, I know what they cost me. A full rack should be no more than about $23 damn. When people take barbecue, we started in the South with pork, because pork was cheap and plentiful. It started in the South. I'm talking about Georgia, Florida, Alabama. Pigs were dime a dozen. And you can make it an upscale, but yet the time it takes to cook it, prepare it, and serve it is the same amount of time it took in the 1860s, but yet you think you're doing something special? When it comes to barbecue, the biggest difference between teams is all about the seasoning. I said it earlier, spices means excess is best. It's all about the seasoning. And, when you get pulled pork around the country, it's different. I'm not a big fan of North Carolina pulled pork, where they chop it so small. I kind of like that Kansas, the Missouri type of pulled pork. It's shredded and stringy. I like that better. Maybe because that's how my mouth is shaped, my teeth is shaped. I don't know. So, you get a chance to do a lot of things differently, but as I continue my barbecue tour, I'm up to about 400, 500 restaurants right now. I got them all on my TripAdvisor, and I'll keep updating that. But go to showbizeats.com. Go to info@showbizeats.com, showbizeats.com, and we will reply to your messages, or hit us up on Facebook. And we'll tell you what we think about whatever. Because I'm continually traveling. During COVID, I'm driving. But we will tell you restaurants that we like a lot. And remember what I said. If the name Shack is in the name of the restaurant, you are winning. You see Shack, pull over, stop, and say, hey, Showbiz Eats, send me here. Peace. Showbiz Eats, Christmas edition.